Hey guys, first off, appreciate all of you following, whether you're watching or listening to The Real Word. On this episode, around the 7.5 minute mark, we had an audio failure, so we're going to let this fly. It's the realest show in real estate. We keep it real. We never do a second take, but I do want to make you aware around the 7.5 minute mark, there is a difference in the audio quality. But again, appreciate you guys listening and hope you enjoy the show. The individual 1099 agent is dead. That game is over, folks. This is Byron and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 142 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
Word is up. I hope I get it right. I mean, we just went through the
We
whole...
We had to watch a video before we went on.
To make sure I get one name right.
Well, Apple was wrong, right? And you Apple it.
He has been trending the last couple of years as one of the top real estate advisors. Mm-hmm. And Inman certainly is very well connected with him. We've got an opinion piece from Mike Del Preti.
Did this table go down? I feel taller today.
I don't know. You look taller.
I feel
Maybe it's all the working out.
I don't know. I feel like the table's
You're
lower
growing.
too.
Mike Del Preti. Inman piece, Zillow hiring agents is the mega trend you can't afford to ignore. Mm-hmm. We touched on this last episode. Go back if you did not see episode 141. I want to just focus in on what he said here, that you can't ignore it. There are some agents that are saying, forget about Zillow. Don't worry about Zillow. Just go and do your job. Bring more value to agents.
Well, we were sort of preaching that. We've been preaching that though too.
We've always been preaching build your brand, build your brand,
yes.
build your brand. At the same time, over 25% of our team sales have come from Zillow.
That is very true.
Right? So we're playing both ends here. But he's saying ignore it at your own risk, meaning you should know exactly what they're doing. You should be paying attention. But there are people that believe paying attention to this. We always pay attention to what's going on. There are some agents and brokers that believe paying attention to Zillow is nothing more than a distraction, and you're going to do less deals if you just wrap yourself up in all the drama of what they're doing. Well, I don't believe that. I never have.
No, and I think the other problem is too, I think that a lot of agents also feel like if they make enough noise that maybe Zillow will eventually just go away. But we found that to not be true. I mean, remember our episode 1? I mean, we've been talking about this since episode
142
1.
episodes.
I mean,
that's true.
Have we even heard from him? I forget his name.
That was Greg,
I don't, but I do know.
You know the name.
You know Greg.
You know the name.
Stop Zillow. I mean, this has been going on. We've been talking about this for 3 years. There have been so many. I mean, he put millions of dollars and recruited people to try and stop Zillow. Again, like making noise and then complaining about it on Facebook that like it's Zillow. They're like is not changing their trajectory.
Greg Hague. Look at when you type in stop Zillow, Greg. We come up episode 12. That's ridiculous. All right, enough of the
but anyway,
lane.
Greg was great. I mean, that was a great trip. But again, we've been talking about this for 3 years.
So to Greg's defense, and we've debated Greg and others have as well. He thought Zillow was such a threat years ago to the industry. I mean, we're going back now 3 years plus, and he started to stop Zillow even before that.
Yeah.
He thought it was such a threat to the everyday real estate agent that, to your point, he put money, his own money and investors' money behind this app that never really went anywhere.
Right. I guess where you have to give Greg even more credit, though, is that instead of just making noise, though, like he actually went into action. He tried to counteract what Zillow was doing. Unfortunately, it was unsuccessful. But again, I mean, you do have to sort of give him praise for at least trying to offer out an alternative to consumers.
And he was paying attention. He is a top, when we're talking about Greg, going all the way back to he is a top producer in his market in Arizona and been for years, decades. Here's what Mike says, Mike Del Preti. The industry is moving so slow you can look around and think nothing is changing, right? Doesn't it seem like in a hot market sometimes nothing is changing? I'm getting referrals from my sphere, from my community. Or get caught up in the hype and think everything is changing. That's where people say, why do you even focus on Redfin, Zillow? Realtor Move, all these, Rocket Loans, all these different things that are disruptors, Open Door. Why do you pay attention to them? You're getting wrapped up in that. Nothing is changing, right?
Right.
That's why now, more than ever before, is the time to stay informed. Understand the scope of change and react appropriately. Love that advice from Mike. Agents as employees. Zillow's move is a clear reflection of a megatrend in real estate. Agents as employees. He references a model pioneered by Redfin. Agent Efficiency 2019. We've got to put that up right here. Agent Efficiency 2019 shows Douglas Elliman agents. And there's all these little blue dots, right? Douglas Elliman agents down around 4 million. Compass, 8 million. Remax, somewhere between the 4 and 6 million mark. They've got the transactions per agent. So Remax agents are at about 20 transactions per agent. Douglas Elliman, less than 5, but they're doing a higher end, so 4 million in production. Compass over at about 8 million in production. You've got a couple of Sotheby's brands in that 10 million of production. And then all the way at the very end of this chart is Redfin agents, which are employees, doing 20 million in volume at 35 transactions, higher than any of the brokerage names that you know. Does that mean that full-time employees, W-2 employees, are more productive and better than 1090 real estate independent contractor agents? Is that what it means? Full-time salaried agents also lead to a higher attach rates for services such as mortgage and title. We know all of the big brokerages want more of that.
Of course. Well, that's where the money is. The money's in the mortgage. The money's not in real estate.
Next-gen brokerage models such as Orchard and Homey, which also employ agents, are seeing mortgage attach rates of 80+%. I know brokers that just talk about if I could get my agents to give me 30 to 40% attach rate.
I've never heard of Homey.
I think we talked about Homey.
Have we?
Yeah.
I feel like I want to work at Homey.
They're a new one. Zillow and Redfin are not alone. Other disruptors, including Open Door and OfferPad, are hiring agents for new brokerage service. So basically, when you look at all these disruptors and you put together their values and the money that they have behind them, the investments that they have behind them, it's nearly $35 billion in enterprise value pushing in this direction. Zillow.
Well, it's the only other direction to go, though. So, I mean, again, either you're a 1099 or you're W-2. I mean, it's really the only other direction for the industry to go. Is it successful? I don't know. I don't know that I would be much more productive if I was getting a paycheck. I mean, I've been a paid employee before. I mean, I don't know.
Well, not particularly you, right? But when you think about, take agents, yourself out of it. When you line up 100 agents and you look at 100 agents and just think of 100 agents that you know. You know 100 agents.
Maybe.
You definitely do. You know 100. Think about them.
Yes.
Picture them in your head.
Yes.
Everybody can do this with us. Picture 100 agents in your marketplace. Like, line them up against a wall. What percentage of those 100 are working a full 40 hours a week?
Probably not many. Well, they probably want the wrong things.
Less than 50%? Over 50%.
40 hours a week.
40 hours. It's legit 40.
No.
There's zero chance over 50%.
Well, they're also letting themselves get bogged down with all of the noise. So I think that's why it's a little bit more efficient, because you're given a task to do, and you're not getting a call and being distracted.
The noise is in their own head. They're getting bogged down by having this freedom of schedule.
Yes.
And the big commission check can erase some of the inefficiencies in individual agents. And the individual agent is the most inefficient thing in real estate.
I'm wildly inefficient. Right, like, I know that.
You're part of a team which kind of covers some of those inefficiencies.
Right. I mean, I still could be much more efficient, but I don't know that if I was getting a paycheck, maybe I can't even say I'd be more efficient. I feel like I'd just be like, I'd lose my drive to want to do more business.
But you're also an entrepreneur. You'd probably go find another business as opposed to being a W-2. You are a top producer, so take yourself out of it. But you look at all the other agents who are not top producers.
Right. Or all those people are like, oh, I've been thinking about getting in real estate. And then you're like, well, like you need to quit your job. And like, they're like, oh, I can't afford to do that. I mean, this would be the perfect opportunity, I guess, for them. And just becoming an employee again.
I mean, Redfin, we'll put it up here one more time here. The agent efficiency model. Redfin's way at the end of the other end of the spectrum there. And beating every single brokerage model that pays their agents 100% commission. There was an interesting question in here. If you look at, I got to find it. How much would it take basically to pay agents as employees? Is it like $100,000 to do the 35 transactions and 20 million? Is it 200,000? Is it 400,000?
Well, I think most agents would be thrilled to make $100,000.
Correct.
Yes.
So if you just throw that low number, which wouldn't be very thrilling for us.
No,
right?
but
if you take that lower number and you take some people who aren't producing and you say, well, you just got to show up 40 hours a week and, you're only going to do rotating weekends. Every other week you have to do the weekends. And you're going to make a guaranteed $100,000. There's going to be some incentives. You can go from there. How many agents right now would give up their 1099 and sign up tomorrow?
What is very interesting, though, too, is that I feel like it's sort of like an admin, though, right? You hire an admin to help you, like an assistant, but you require them to be licensed because it makes the most sense, right? Because then they could do open houses for you. They could talk to people on the phone. They always sort of get to that like 2-3 year mark where they then start like computing maybe how much more they could make. I mean, I wonder how long these employees actually would stay employees because then they're realizing, well, I'm doing 35 transactions at $100,000.
Right.
I don't know.
If you look through the comments,
it's lengthy. They're lengthy.
They are, and they are highly confused comments. I mean, they're talking about video stores and travel agents. Those are $3 purchases and 1 week stays. Ours is a service. The client is making the biggest financial decision of their lives. And we've said that here too, like they are. They're making the biggest financial decision. But if they have an employee offering better value, offering better service than the individual 1099 agent can, they will over time continue to use the employee model services, the Redfin. And by the way, Redfin, Nicole?
Yes.
Redfin stock is sitting at, as we do this right now, about $54. That's up quite a bit over the last 5 years. And just in the last year, it has accelerated.
Just in the last 6 months.
In the last 6 months. I mean, if you go down to, right before COVID, it was in the 30s. And then obviously everything dropped in March, so it went down to about 10.
That's when we should have bought.
Yeah. Wow. Well, and now it's all the way up to 54, 35. And so Redfin's doing something right. They continue to take market share, and the numbers speak for itself how much production their agent employees are doing.
We should do a survey. I feel like, I bet you consumers, like if we just ask people, just like, if we were just like ask on Facebook, like I wonder if consumers would feel like they were actually, I don't want to use the word actually, but would feel like we had their interests more, like we were, you know what I mean? Are you following?
Mm-hmm.
If we were an employee instead of being driven by the commission. Like I wonder, because how many buyers now are going on Zillow, but no matter, I feel like it takes a little while for them to start trusting you, which is normal, right? But I'm wondering if they would have immediate trust knowing that you were getting paid kind of regardless of whether that deal closed or not.
Right.
Because I think a lot of buyers, especially like, again, I know we talked about dual agency and this would obviously sort of eliminate a little bit of that too. Like, especially if you're working both sides, like, are you now bullying me into buying it? Are you bullying me into staying in this deal? Because like now you're out like 20G because you're not getting both sides,
Right.
Or I wonder how the consumer would feel. Maybe the consumer would prefer like a paid employee as opposed to somebody.
Consumers going to gravitate towards the best service every single time, always and forever. I'll tell you what.
Well, let's take service out of it. Like, I'm curious, I guess it's kind of hard to take service out of it.
Yeah, well, from the consumer's eyes, that's all they're going to care about.
No, I hear you.
Who's going to provide me the best outcome for my desired goal?
Right.
I'll tell you, though, what is absolutely
But it could also be skewed. They could also then think that they're not getting as good of service because you're being driven by the commission. So it also has a lot to do with, like, a consumer's, like, sort of impression of the situation, though, too. Like, my experience is always going to be different than your experience because of what's going on in my head.
I don't think agents are thinking too much about the commission. I think they're always trying to find someone they want to work with. I don't think that they are either,
but I'm saying but consumers think that we are.
I mean, that's what I mean. I don't think consumers
You
are
don't?
thinking about it. No, I don't. I don't think they're thinking about it at all. Unless it's a impossible house to sell and the seller's trying to motivate you.
I'm talking about buyers, though.
Yeah. The buyers, I don't think are thinking about the commission at all.
Huh.
I think they're working with who they like or the first person they meet. And the stats show that buyers are going to work 70% of the time with the first person they meet. They don't even care.
No, I'm hearing that.
They're not paying anything.
But I guess I'm just wondering, there must be at some point during the negotiation, if it's an inspection or, like negotiating up or down, whatever, that they're like, I would think that at some point they were thinking, are they working in my best interest or are they working, to get paid? Or are they keeping me in this deal because they want to get paid?
There's that thought.
That's what I mean.
Sure.
That's what I mean.
So
again, my point is like, I wonder if then a consumer would rather just someone being a paid employee because they know that they're getting a paycheck, whether that deal closes or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they are definitely questioning multiple motives throughout that scenario.
So even if they were getting the best service, part of them are not even believing that they're getting the right service because
potentially,
because you're always worried about like, are they getting paid? Or again, something comes up during a home inspection. All of a sudden, it's the agent's fault. Yeah.
Here's one statement I'm willing to make: the individual 1099 agent is dead. That game is over, folks. If you're not part of a team, then maybe potentially in the future, not part of one of these employee models, where if you're just an individual agent, you will not be able to make a living in this industry 5 years from today. So that's something big brokerages need to figure out, because I just don't believe you're going to have what you've had for the last 30, 40 years, individual 1099ers sitting around on floor time, not getting the skills that they need to improve, not caring enough about the industry, just waiting for their neighbor to sell.
The brokerage, though, would certainly care a lot more about making sure that these people are actually getting trained, too, because if they're not, then they have to fire them and start all over again.
If I'm an individual agent right now, I'm paying attention to this very closely. I'm figuring out how to start or become part of a team, because the next step for you is you're going to be a Redfin employee, all right? Love you, individual agents, by the way. It's just the writing is on the wall, okay? All right, racket number 2.
It's getting warm in this room, isn't it? What's up with that? See any sweating over here?
Is
it always the winter when like the heat's on?
Yeah, this is an airtight building. Horton Group Development, airtight. All right.
Yeah, no windows.
We've got a Connecticut article here.
We had to. Come
Connecticut.
It's not just Connecticut, though. I think that these are really interesting and important conversations.
Yeah, and this talks about all kinds of different states. So maybe your state is on the list. This just happens to be a Channel 3 Connecticut article. Connecticut now considered a top state for people who are moving, and they're talking about in. For months.
It's like, again, last year I think we were the most people were moving out of our state. I mean, literally just 365 days ago. Actually, I feel like it was probably just like 7 months ago.
Last year we were in the top 4.
Even in January we were probably
January again, because the trend, and you can go up on how many walks. You can look all the stuff. HowManyWalks.com. That's really talking about how wealth moves around.
Right.
Connecticut's one of the worst states for outbound migration when it comes to wealth, but Connecticut's also been in negative migration mode here for years. And then now all of a sudden this pandemic hits. And last year just alone, we were number 4 for most outbound moves of any state. Well, now when United Van Lines looked at motivations for people who moved between March and August 2020, Connecticut ranked 3rd among states to which those people moved into as it relates to the pandemic. So this top states on this list, percent of moves from state where COVID was a contributing factor.
Well, as a COVID impacted move, yes.
It was like it had to be
because they said about 65% of the people moved because of COVID.
Vermont, first on the list, 30%. North Dakota, 28.6%. Connecticut, 20%. Montana, Michigan, Arkansas, Oregon, Massachusetts, Ohio, and Utah round out the top states inbound for COVID impact moves. The top outbound states were, this drives me nuts. The number 1 state is Washington, D.C. Hey, United Van Lines, D.C. is not a state, okay? They're not a state, all right? Washington, D.C. 1, New York, Nevada, Oregon. Wait, they're on the list twice.
Yeah.
Weird.
Very.
Delaware, California, Minnesota, Massachusetts again on the list. So So you're seeing people come in and then out. That's weird. Okay. Florida, Washington. The leading reasons for people moving included 1, concerns for personal and family health and well-being. 2, desires to be closer to family.
Of course.
Changes in employment status or work arrangement. The ability to work remotely. That's what's really impacted Connecticut, New York City people coming here. And 4, desires for lifestyle change or improvement of quality of life. You hear that over and over and over again.
I have a client right now that I'm working with that is actually moving from New York to Connecticut. But he used to work in Manhattan. And his job is actually international moving. So like obviously Van Lines is talking so he's moving people in and out of countries residentially. And he's actually right now, he said that usually his October is the slowest, but his October is actually the busiest month even over last year. Like October, like this year, is busier than even any month last year. But he's actually seeing a lot of people moving out of the United States. And that's mostly because people are losing visas because they're no longer working. So they're now having to move out. So again, there's so many. I feel like these moving companies have so much information for us to sort of like gobble up too.
Oh, absolutely. Well, here's a fun fact about the moving companies. So my parents bought the house in Florida last year, or the beginning of this year, whenever they did that. And they still have some stuff up here. They've been up here all summer. So my dad called a U-Haul truck and said, hey, I want to bring the U-Haul truck down to Florida. I have some stuff to bring up. They said, okay, yeah, no problem. They said, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can, pay X price and bring it down to Florida and drop it off at the U-Haul, which was like, I forget the exact numbers, but it was 2 or 3 times higher than if you bring the truck back to Connecticut, because U-Haul has seen so many people
they're losing their trucks.
Lose their trucks down south. Now, maybe this stat here that we're talking about is going to help Connecticut bring some of these U-Haul trucks back, but they can't get their trucks out of Florida, out of South Carolina. They can't get them back up to Connecticut. And my dad said, no, I'll pay the higher price. I'm leaving it down in Florida. I'm not bringing it back.
So interesting, though. That's like a whole nother side,
So that's like a weird...
Call me if you don't want to drive your truck back.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Little business.
That's what I'm talking about. Because, you could drive it back in a day. And if they're charging you 3 times the amount.
Yeah, these moving companies definitely have a lot of data. I was reading an article recently, San Francisco, how they have such lower sales tax this year because there's so many people moving out of the city because now they can work anywhere in California.
Well, yeah, I think that San Francisco has sort of been on the verge of this for a bit though anyway, but
I don't think it's a racket. A lot of people moving around making life decisions right now, and you just got to be able to, as an agent, be able to help people with those moves.
Of course. So well, companies are also making a lot of decisions for these people too. Yeah.
That's true. All right. Marketeer of the week. Second time I think he's been the Marketeer.
I'm sure. I just enjoy him. He makes me smile.
Yeah. Ryan Serhant just started a new brokerage. Serhant is the name of it, with a period.
I love it.
Great logo, by the way, Ryan Serhant. Why I think he's the Marketeer of the week is all of these auxiliary branches. If you go to his .com, we'll link it up, serhant.com. You see underneath.
Or even his Instagram page. I enjoy his Instagram page quite a bit. But.
Yeah, great IG. He's just a great marketer and very influential, obviously, in real estate. But if you go to Studios or ADX, Studios is basically where they're going to, and I believe they've already started with some of these pilots, be releasing YouTube shows that they own, that they create. Big Money Energy looks like one of them. Verified Pads. Full disclosure.
Borough Brokers, I love that too.
3 in a Million. This one here, I watched the pilot, 3 in a Million. It's where they take 3 people, they send them into a New York City apartment, and they say, you guys get to look, spend as much time as you want there, and then guess the price of the apartment. Whoever gets closest gets a bag of money, some cash prize, right? So it's like, if it's an $8 million apartment, they're just wild guesses all over the place.
But so what's really interesting though, because then again, in one of his little shtick pieces of launching this. He was talking about how how it all sort of came about because, 3 years ago, he sold a house on Instagram. 2 years ago, he sold a house on YouTube. So that actually is sort of a fun little piece because that house that he's probably having them guess the price on is on the market.
Of course.
So then it's like, how fun is that?
It's an HGTV style show. 3 people doing this, doing that.
But of course, you're then watching with 3 people. So now you're inadvertently now looking at the house because you're now following these people around. It's kind of...
It's a better storyline than doing a
house tour.
Exactly. A property tour.
We got to rip that one off and repeat, right?
Oh, yeah. Anything. This is why we're sharing it with you. Anything Ryan's doing, you should rip off and repeat. We're going to do the same.
I love that.
And then he's got this ADX, which is where they're going to kind of create all of their tech, I believe.
Yeah.
Amplified Data Exchange is our tech-powered innovation platform that drives success for sellers, buyers, agents.
Obviously you need that if you're going to be opening up your own brokerage.
There is a Real Deal article. I'll also link this up along with his new brokerage site that goes into the move. Supposedly, some of his team is staying put at Nest Seekers International, which of course is the brokerage Ryan's been affiliated with for, I want to say like 12 years. Mm-hmm. And the reason being, there seems to be a little bit of stickiness. He couldn't get some of his exclusive listings out. He has these developments that take years.
Right.
I don't think you get them out of Nest Seekers.
I think you get charged quite a bit too for recruiting agents out of a company, even if they're on your team.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many gray areas that we don't even know about because I don't have their contract.
Yeah, I don't know. And they've kind of both said, no, it's just business as usual. Ryan's keeping some of his team here doing this.
Yeah.
There's going to be a transition where he's going to bring everybody over from Nest Seekers over to Serhant. Listen, I think this is the type of innovation, going back to Zillow, this is the type of innovation. He's got a studios department where they're creating original content. We've been talking about this since we started the show, sitting in our studio in our real estate office. Like, how can you be creating your own original content so that you can actually have a shot at building a brand in your market better than Zillow? I don't believe everybody, 100% of agents, is going to be, going all the way back to racket number 1, an employee someday. But if you don't have a better model of building a brand, and you don't have highly efficient independent contractors that are following a system that actually works, like Ryan is putting together right now for his agents and building a brand for his agents, and you're just that individual agent hoping, the brokerage world is just going to never change and be what it's always been, you're toast.
Yeah.
These are the things you got to be doing. Ryan, you're once again the Marketeer of the Week. He is taking over the real estate industry.
I love it. The S period. I'm sort
it's
of
a hot
obsessed.
logo. We like logos.
I love logos.
Yeah.
I like to logo anything.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We spend way too much time on logos. All right, Ryan, great job. If anybody has a Marketeer of the Week you'd like to share, love more so, though, your opinion on if you're paying attention to the employee agent model, what your thoughts are of it. Love to hear from you in the comments. All right?
That's it.
Keep it real, guys.
See ya.